What's going on, guys? It's Yahavy David St. Clair speaks. You are now tuned in to the Husslehav Academy. What's going on, guys? Welcome to a special YouTube video. In this video, guys, I'm going to be taking you guys behind the grind on Resimpli's real estate software system with a special collaboration video with the owner and founder of Resimpli's real estate software system. Now, if you're in the real estate game and if you're into wholesaling or just finding deals in real estate and marketing to these leads, we all know that the money's in the follow-up. And with Resimpli's software system, it just makes real estate so much easier. Now, before we begin, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button. Like, subscribe to my channel. We are growing and we are going towards our goals, and we're going to grow together. So you guys ready to begin? Let's go.
Right. Hi, man. So, first of all, thank you for having me on this call. I appreciate it. So this will be like a quick overview on like how to use like what Resimpli is about, how to use it, and some like very kind of features that a lot of our customers love. So when you log into your Kpi dashboard. So right off the bat, like it gives you all the data about your business that you need to make like the right decisions. You can set your revenue goal that you want for the year, and our system will track like how much you've actually achieved during the year. And then this would, you can set how many deals you want to do and what percentage of deal goal have you reached during the year. And then it tracks all your marketing KPIs. So you can track like how many, where are you getting most of your deals from? What's the best ROI in your business, your cost per lead, cost per deal, how much money you spent in marketing, and how much money you've made from your marketing efforts, and what's your marketing ROI. So marketing ROI would be for every dollar that you put in your business, how much money comes back as revenue. So in this is the demo account. So it's like for every dollar that we put in, you get $3.43 back, just kind of average. And then you have your lead and deal flow for last 12 months, where all your leads are coming in from, your different marketing, what's the best performing marketing for you, compares all the marketing ROI, and this compares your marketing spend versus revenue. So you can see, where marketing channels have you spent money on, and where have you gotten how much money. So it tracks that. And then your if you had any messages that you sent out, any incoming or outbound calls, so it would track that also. So this is like your KPI dashboard. And then from there, you basically go into your leads section, which would be, like the CRM part of Resimpli. So it's all like these stages are already built out. So it gives you a very visual overview of kind of what's going on in your business. The goal is to move from your lead from left to right. No contact made. Contact made, you make an appointment, make an offer, get it under contract. If you're wholesaling, you assign it to buyer. So like it's simple, clean, you move it from left to right. And then it has the call system built in. So you can go in and you can buy a phone number within Resimpli. So let's say, if, like depending on what area code I'm in, like I tried 219 area code, that's the market that I invest in. I can buy this phone number and I can give it a marketing title, like a campaign name, which would be, let's say, my probate list. And then the lead source would be my direct mail, for example. So as any call that comes in on this number would get tagged as call that came in on my probate list, direct mail, from my direct mail, probate direct mail campaign, and then you can set up your call flow. Call flow would be, if anybody's familiar with CallRail, where you can set up your call flow. So you tell the system, do you want the calls to be recorded? What number do you want to be displayed on your caller ID? And then based on the time of the day, where you want the calls to go. You can play a greeting before calls come in. You can do round robin. You can do simultaneous forwarding. You can have the call go straight to voicemail or a particular number. And then, if it's a missed call, our system would automatically send a text message to the person who called, or if you want an RVM to be sent out, or if the person is calling again for the second time where you want the calls to go, Like for example, a lot of investors that we work with, they use Call Porter as an answering service. So what would happen is the initial call will go to Call Porter. Once Call Porter has taken the call, then they want the call to go to their acquisition manager or to themselves or somebody else in their team, and then they can put that number over here, and then that's where the call would go. So you can set all of that up. And then like as your leads are coming into the pipeline, our system is tracking where what marketing channel the lead is coming from. Like this came from door knocking, and this is just a demo account. And then from here, you can send an RVM to the lead. You can mark it as a hot lead. You can set up a drip campaign, which I'll go into in a little bit. And then you can make a call right from within the platform. You can send a text message from within the platform. And you can also send an email from within the platform. And then you can also send an e-sign document to the lead from within the platform. So it's all built in. You don't need a third-party integration. It's all built in within our system. So sorry, my internet is a little bit slow. I'm actually a new service tomorrow, which I'm super excited about. Especially with Zoom, it slows my computer down like very, very bad. So let me refresh. And then I know I want to go a little bit into the drip campaigns. Like that's one of the features a lot of investors that we work with, they love. And I personally, in my business, I've gotten a lot of value out of it. So drip campaign would be where, let's say you already have a lead in your pipeline. That's where majority of your deals would come from your follow-up. It'll be very rare when you get a call initially from the lead that they're ready to sell. They call you and say, I'm ready to sell. That'll be very, very rare, maybe 1 out of 20, 30 cases, that could happen. But most of those would be follow-up. Now, there's 2 ways to follow up. One could be manually, where you just, you're calling or texting, like you're setting a reminder for yourself to call or text. The other would be an automated drip campaign. So we have some that are already built into the system, depending on, when you get a lead, there's some cases where you will have their phone number. I mean, you will have their name and address. So then you would want to send a different message to that person where you have their name and property address, versus some people will just say, hey, you send me a postcard, but they won't give any information and they'll hang up. Then you don't have their name, you don't have their address. So then you would send a more generic message to them, versus some people say, hey, my name is Tom. You sent me a voice, you sent me a message or postcard or whatever. I want to talk to someone, but you have their name, not their address. And then so you have different scenarios. So all of those are built in. And then if you want to add a new one, you can click right here. And then you can set it up as many steps as you want. There's no limit to it. You can do a text message. You can do a reminder for somebody in your team to call them. You can do an RVM, or you can do an email. So we already have email templates that you can choose. And then it'll pick up the name of the lead, the address, if you have that available, and it'll send that email out to that person. And then you can build out as many steps as you want. So let's say you want the first message to go out like 2 days after you set it up, and then you want to wait, let's say a week, and then you want to follow that up with a text message, and you can personalize it. I am calling. I want to talk about your property at property street address, and then you can do another one, and then you can do, let's say, you want to wait another week, and you want to remind somebody in your team, let's say it will be me, that call the lead, and then you can do another one, like let's say another week after that, you want to send them an RVM, and you can choose different RVM recordings that you've done in the system, which one you want to send out, and like you can build it, customize it to whatever need that you have. I mean, again, it'll be different based on the business need. Like initially, when you get a lead, you want to be a little bit more aggressive with follow-ups, and then after like first week or 2 weeks, if you don't get hold of a lead, then you want to kind of spread it out every 2 weeks to every month. That's generally what we do in our business. But the first week to 10 days, you have the higher chance of getting hold of somebody when the lead initially comes in. So in the first week or 10 days, you want to go a bit more frequent with your follow-ups, and then like go to 2 weeks, and then eventually go to every month. We do very simple. We alternate between text and calls, and then we just added email actually a couple of weeks ago in Resimpli. So we're going to add email also, and then some follow-ups here and there. But our main follow-up method is text message and phone call. Because email, not everybody provides us their email address, and then it could go to spam or whatnot. So text and phone call is something we heavily rely on. So you can set up your drip campaign, build it out again. Like we have some of these are built over like 12 months, 18 months. So once you put them on a drip, system will keep following up. And then once that lead is ready to sell, then you move it to an active lead. Like some deals we have done is, the one that comes to mind right now is a property that came in as a lead back in August or September 2018 through our Google My Business page. We couldn't agree on the price, and the only thing we did was just put the lead on a follow-up campaign, texting, calling, and then we ended up buying the property about two years later, this year in June of 2018, and we made like 80,000 on that lead. And again, it came from our Google site, and then after that it was simple follow up, nothing fancy, just simple. Text message was automated through Resimpli. All we were doing was just calling them every other month, and then in between the calls, our system will send a text message. That's kind of all we did, as follow. So again, so this would be your wholesaling part of it. Now, if you were actually closing on something, then you would move it to your inventory. So your inventory would be where you actually own the property, and then you're managing a rehab, or you're going to list it on the market, or whatever you might be doing. So then it would come to this view of inventory page. In your inventory, you can create a scope of work. You can upload your files, your pictures, your videos, and any documentation that you have. So you want to go back to leads and just go a little bit more in detail about within leads, what you can do. So you have your activity log. So activity log would be any communication that you've had with the lead: call, text message, email, ringless voicemail, any comments between your team. Everything would be an activity log. So a lot of time what happens is, again, with the follow-up, it's very rare that you will close a property the day, the seller calls, or even within the first week or 2 weeks. A lot of times you're going back to a lead 6 months or a year later. You want to have log of all the communication you've had. So this will keep everything organized, your calls, text messages. So you can kind of more or less pick up from the last conversation that you had. And then in our business, we use it to communicate within our team also. So you can just tag somebody and say, can you please follow up, and then this way the person will get a notification. So we have our iPhone app and we have an Android app. So we do most of our communication on the app or within the system. Like my office manager, she has a desk job. She's in front of the computer. So anytime she has like a task or any files upload, anything, she just tags us on Resimpli, and then that sort of becomes like a checklist for us. Or she can add a task if she wants to remind me on something. Hey, can you please call this person, for example, and then she'll assign it to me. And she'll give it a due date. So it becomes a task for me. And you can also upload all your files. So you don't need Google Drive, you don't need Dropbox. So all your pictures, videos, closing document, buy side, sell side, you can upload everything, and then it stays organized. So let's say if you sold a property and a year later you want to come back and see the closing documents or whatever pictures or videos you might need. Same thing for the lead. Like when we're going out on appointments, my acquisition manager would get pictures and videos. So what we use WhatsApp to share pictures and videos. And then my lead manager, what she would do is she would take those pictures and videos and uploads in that property folder. So again, if we are going back 6 months later to that property, we're not having to look for pictures or videos. We go in the system and it's there. And we can also share, just like how you share with Google Drive or Dropbox. You can share within Resimpli, create a shareable link and send it to somebody so they get access only to that part of it. So I know
so Rod, no, you're good. I'm sorry to interrupt you. One of the things I love about Resimpli is the drip campaign And what I've been doing is I've been attaching the web form that you guys have on the drip
Right.
campaign, so they get that.
Oh,
Can you
that's a good
can you
idea.
show? Yeah, can you show us a little bit more of the web form?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea, actually. So web form. So your web form would be where, let's say, if you're working with an answering service like Call Porter, so you give them access to your web form, and then they put in the information in the web form, and it syncs up with your lead. If it's an incoming call, it will automatically pick up the lead source and any other information that the user puts in. And then if it's a repeat caller, for example, let's say if I pick up this phone number as an example. So if I pick up, and one other thing, so once you save a phone number in Resimpli, it tells you what kind of phone number it is, if it's a VoIP number, landline, or mobile number, or if it's not a valid number. So this way, if it's a landline, then you don't want to text them, and just expect a reply back from that number. So, or you want to put them on like a ringless voicemail campaign or whatnot. So like it'll tell you this is the VoIP number, so you can send a text message or call this number. But if it's a landline, you would not want to send a text message to that number. But yeah, like if I copy this number and then I go into my, so if I put this number here in my, so you see it's already picking up the information that I've already entered in the system. So it's at 765 159th Street. So this way, if you have an answering service that's taking the call, just fits in the phone number, it's going to pull all the information, the name of the lead, the email address, or any other information that you've entered. And actually, Yahavy, the idea that you have, that's actually a pretty good idea, is sending it to your lead so they can fill it out themselves. And then, this way you already have that sort of filled in. So rather than like having a, web form on your website, you're sending them a link and just making it super simple to fill out. That's actually a pretty good idea. But yeah,
I tell you what, Sharad, sorry to interrupt, but because of the web form, it makes a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable. Oh, okay, this guy's legit. The web form has really made it so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you keep it very simple to them. Actually, it's a good thing. Some people, that's why, like, when you do follow-ups, I think one important thing is you're going to notice some people are going to be more receptive to talking on the phone, and versus some people are going to be more receptive on like replying by email versus texting you. So you're giving some people like different options. Hey, if you feel comfortable just filling out the form, like sort of like almost keeping your privacy where you don't want to talk to anybody, fill out this web form, we'll give us the information, we'll get in touch with you, and then we'll take it from there. I think that's a great idea. But yeah, so like a lot of our investors that we work with, so they have their answering service. In some cases, they have their like bird dogs sort of filling this out, like as they're driving around. If they come across like a lead that's through a referral, not through driving for dollars or anything else, then they would have the bird dog fill out that information. And then for every deal that the investor closes on, they get paid. But yeah, sending it to your lead also is a fantastic idea, so they can fill it out and just get started from there. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of flexibility, and like an update we're rolling out over the next month or so is where you will be able to customize all the questions. So if you want to have like very specific question that you want to ask your lead, then you can add that question and then reorganize the questions or whatnot. So I think we're excited about rolling that update pretty soon. Yeah. So yeah, that would be like a very high level overview of kind of how you would use the CRM part of it. And another key feature that we rolled out last month or so is like list stacking. Essentially, it would be you've uploaded all your lists that you have from your driving for dollar list, you have from your absentee list, probate list, and then you can stack them against one another. So when you're marketing, if you're on a limited marketing budget, so you're only marketing to people that, let's say, are on 3 different lists, so they have a higher probability, more motivation to sell the property. Somebody who's going to be on a probate list, absentee list, and let's say driving for dollar list, there's a higher chance that there's more motivation for this person versus somebody who's only on your high equity list. So it helps you do that also. And then like you can skip trace someone, you can export and do direct mail, and a couple of other things from within the system that I know a lot of our investors that we work with get value out of. So going to take a quick pause and see if you have any questions or anything else you want me to go over.
Yeah, I mean, the web form I like. I also, one of the things I also learned as of recently is the SMS. Say if I have, I thought about this and just thinking out loud, if I have 15 cash buyers, I could upload that CSV file and text them all in that SMS template. Can you show us that?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's how a lot of investors are using it. As like you can have your list of cash buyers and you can upload that within Resimpli and just send a text blast to them and saying, hey, I have this property under contract. Would you be interested in buying that property? And then again, all of your call recording, text, or any communication that you do, text, call, is all recorded. So you could like say, like this is my, let's say, list of cash buyers. And then, you can just send a message to this list, select everybody, and then just shoot out a message. And then just say, hey, I mean, if you had a name for them, then I would like pick up their name. We have this property for sale at, whatever, 123 Main Street, whatever property you're sending them about, and then send that message out, and it'll go to those people. And then as they start applying, everything will be captured within the system right here. Yeah, and then as they reply back, you'll see this like green dot pop up. That means you have a new reply. And then if somebody hasn't replied, like if you haven't sent a message or you haven't received a reply, then you can kind of filter based on that and send them another follow-up message to that person, right? Yeah, so that's like, and then you can do the same thing with your seller leads also. But something to be careful with that is that you're not sort of overusing it. As more and more people are sort of jumping on that SMS bandwagon, we've noticed that the deliverability across, the texting platforms is getting lower. Like AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobiles of the world are starting to block more and more incoming messages that sort of are spam. Like if you're using a word like, hey, are you interested in selling your property? Like something like that just gets flagged more often than not. So something you have to be careful about if you're doing a first communication and then you send them like a URL to something. I mean, again, if it's the first time you're talking to somebody, generally you don't send a link, a website link. So like some things you have to like make it more natural conversation that you're having with people. The higher response rate you have, the better your number will perform over long term.
Spot on. You're spot on with the link thing. That's why when I set my drip campaigns, I'll tell you what, on my third or fourth step, mostly on maybe the third step, I attach the web form and I just keep it like that. So second point of contact, hey, boom, you're going to have that. You'll fill it out.
Exactly.
And, pretty much go from there. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. I guess, marketing channel gets like more and more adopted. More and more people start adopting to a new marketing channel. That's where like, like especially like it's a cell phone carrier that's included. I mean, then you don't have like 100% control over something. I mean, a direct mail is different, right? I mean, you pay USPS, they're going to deliver your mail. It's plain and simple. Or if you have your website, you're going to get your PPC, your SEO leads. Some of those things are different, like doing radio ads, TV ads, or whatnot. Those are different versus like texting and calling. You have to be a little bit careful with. I mean, I think those are awesome on the follow-ups. I mean, it's so much value you get on the follow-up from texting, calling, email. It's just staying in front of those sellers on a regular basis. Because one thing you have to keep in mind is like, I think a lot of investors that are starting out where they get a little bit demotivated is like they'll send out mailers to 1,000 people, but they don't get any deal from it. And they'll be like, oh, direct mail doesn't work. But that's kind of not how marketing works. It's like if you, like, let's say you're getting a postcard from a Toyota dealership. That's the example I have to give. You're getting a postcard from a Toyota dealership once a quarter. It's not that, the first postcard that you get, you're going to run out to your Toyota dealership and buy the car. But it's sort of like that dealership is planting a seed in your mind. Hey, whenever you're ready to buy a car, we're here for you. And they're sending you a postcard or whatever letter once a quarter, or they're calling you, whatnot. And then let's say a year later, after you receive 3 or 4 letters or postcards from them, and 1 year later, your car breaks down, you're in the market to buy a car, you're gonna 100% gonna think of that Toyota dealership, like whether you end up buying from that, it's a different case, but at least you're gonna think about that. That's kind of what you're hoping from your marketing is, when that person is ready to sell, they give you a fair chance to make an offer on that property. And you increase your chances the more you reach out to the seller. By like, you don't want to like overdo it where you're just texting them every day or every week. Like, you just want to kind of stay on their radar. I think once a month, after like initial 2 weeks or so, like reaching out to them once a month, just a polite, gentle reminder, hey, whenever you're ready to sell your house, we're here for you. It just tells them, yes, you're serious. And then they'll be getting another marketing from you. And then whenever they're ready to sell, they're going to pick up the phone or text you or call you. That's all you're hoping for, is just getting a fair chance to bid on that property.
You know what I also like, to piggyback off that, I love the call feature. The reason why I like the call feature is, say if I called Bob and Bob calls me back, it would say, Bob is calling you. So, and with the call forwarding connected, and I was looking at my phone and I would get the notification, since I have the Resimpli app, I would get the notification in the app when Resimpli would light up. I'm like, okay, I have someone from my batch calling me back.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, there's this couple of things like for some of your leads, for example, when you get a PPC lead, that generally tends to be a hot lead that you want to get in touch with them as soon as possible. Like what I know a lot of investors do is, like on their caller ID, they will set it up so it tells them that it's a call coming from their PPC lead. Then they want to make sure they pick it up. If they're in the middle of something that's not super urgent, then they pick up the call and talk to that lead. Because at that point, when the lead calls you, that's when they're going to be most motivated, generally, because there was something going on where they picked up the phone or they went to website and filled out the form. So you want to get in touch with them as soon as possible. But some of the other leads, generally, that are coming from like your when you send a text of like to 1,000 people and you get a call back, you don't want to pick those calls up live, because majority of the time those are the people that are going to call to just say, hey, where the F did you get my phone number? How dare you contact me, this or that? So those are the calls you want to have set it up where it goes straight to a voicemail. So you're going to get like out of 1,000 people, you'll get, I don't know, maybe like 50, 60, 70 calls. Out of the 50, 60, 70 calls, like 90% of them are going to be complete garbage and where people are going to yell at you. It's the other 5 to 7 calls that are going to be gem that you want to go through, but you don't want to like take those 50, 60, 70 calls live, because it's just going to, I mean, unless you have a very thick skin, I mean, it's going to get to you if people are yelling at you. So like you want to set it up where it goes to voicemail, and then you go through those, the ones that want to be taken off, you just like remove them from your marketing. The other ones that show some interest are the ones that you want to follow up, and then you want to set it up in your call flow where such that, hey, this person calls, route it to me. If not, if somebody else calls, it goes to voicemail. So I mean, like just having that flexibility, I think it's great.
It creates so much wiggle room, because one of the things that I love about Resimpli, which makes it so much easier, because I had a campaign go out today for over 300 leads. And, I was getting a lot of, back and forth, and the people that called me, they get the automatic text, hey, I'm on another line, helping another homeowner at this time. I'll give you a call back in say 15, 20 minutes. So when they call me back, they don't get that response from me. They get an auto text. Okay, this person's busy. Also, what I've noticed is that also helps. But for the people that don't want to get contacted, we always have those people that's gonna, cause some friction and curse us out. When they reply to the text in the campaign, it automatically opts them out of the campaign. So I rather someone, and as crazy as it sounds, I rather them curse me out and respond to the campaign. So you're automatically off, because if you don't respond, you're still going to get it. So for me, it's win-win.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, it's like there's like something that you have to kind of balance based on what sort of marketing you're doing. And like once you start doing certain marketing, like you'll know kind of what a good balance is, like how often to call someone. Again, like for what we've noticed when a lead calls in initially, for us, first 7 days to 2 weeks is when they're the best likelihood of us sort of making a deal with them. But if not, if we lose, if we miss that window, then it's just putting them on a drip campaign and just staying on their radar month in, month out. Just as simple as that.
You made a good point a little earlier. You mentioned it's very important, and this was one of the biggest mistakes that I've made. Was I was sending out an SMS to landline numbers, and you covered it already. And I think that's very important for people to understand. With the landlines in particular, any leads, I'm pretty sure you could speak to this. It's either call them or postcard, or because you can't, you can't text a landline. You just can't.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like that's another, and we're going to be adding like a direct mail as a drip campaign also within the system. But generally, like we've noticed, like with some of the older people that you're marketing to, though they still, they still like to get like a nicely written letter. It's not like in this day and age, you don't get many letters. So some people actually prefer getting, that letter, or bulletin letter or postcard. I mean, I was talking to an investor friend of mine who's, we're in the same mastermind. He said he sent out direct mail to like these, thousands of people. And he actually got a deal where somebody actually wrote a letter back to him. It's amazing. Like I'd never heard of anything like this, but there, you have to keep that in mind. Is like just different people are going to respond differently to like the different marketing that you're doing. Like if somebody is doing really good with texting, texting might work good for one demographic of seller, but it's not going to work for everybody. Same thing with direct mail. Like some people, like a little bit like a younger generation would be more okay kind of texting back and forth and selling a house, versus a younger generation might not be so open to like direct mail. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Like we bought a house a couple of years ago, and this was a seller. He lived in California. Every month we were sending him a postcard, letter, alternative between postcard and letter. Nothing, no reply, nothing. And we sent him one text message. He replied back saying, yes, I'm interested. The key is in the mailbox. Go have a look at the house and make me an offer. Just like, it was amazing. But again, as the market has gotten more saturated with texting, it's become much more difficult to get through to people, because like even like on my cell phone, I get like random text messages and RVM for properties that I don't even own. But like when people send direct mail, or like especially the best is like when you get inbound marketing for your PPC, Google, or your website. I mean, those are like people that are looking to reach out to you. That's kind of been our experience investing. Again, it's something that you have to stay on top of, especially with the marketing. Like I feel like every 6 months to a year, like there's something new going on, or some like new tactic within a marketing channel that you have to kind of try and just keep improvising a couple of things.
No, spot on. For me, ever since I got introduced to Resimpli, my success rate has skyrocketed, because it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game.
It is.
It really is a numbers game. If you market to 2 properties, you have no shot, right? But Resimpli makes it so much easier. And if you market to 100 properties, you have a better chance of marketing to 2. I've showed a couple people here and there, how I use Resimpli. I'm like, hey, like, this is what I do. And I'm like, you should do this, because it almost took me a year to find something, a software that just makes it so much easier. I also, here's another thing, Sharad, the drip campaigns definitely does, it helps. It filters out who's serious, who's a dead lead, who's a warm lead, and who's a hot lead.
Right. I think if you ask any investor who's been in the business for, a couple of years, and you ask them, hey, where do you get most of your deals? Majority of the people will say from follow-up. It's outside of like initially where they get the leads from. Once you've gotten a lead, like they're in your pipeline, right? What do you do with that lead? That's important. You could have like hundreds of leads coming in, but you're not going to be able to close them on your first conversation with them. It's the follow-up that is gonna like make you successful. So I think that's where like setting up that drip campaign there's a huge value in that, like staying on these people's radar whenever they're ready to sell. I mean, it's something like somebody who's in, April through June, July, August, where the weather is nice. Some people may not be interested in selling their house, but as they go into the winter months, like, we invest in Indiana market, as the weather gets colder, some folks are like, oh man, I'm done with this weather. I want to move out. So you'll get some of those people. So like the only way for you to stay on top of them is just following up. The saying, if you have like a big snowstorm and you've been working with the lead for a long time, that's an older person, just like simply calling them and saying, hey, I know we had a major snowstorm, just want to call and see, you're doing okay, anything we can help with. Just like that builds, that's part of your follow-up, but just making it a little bit more personal, especially some of those hot leads that, you're close to closing with them, but you just need to put a little bit of personal touch, and just like showing genuine compassion towards those people makes a big difference. But it's all part of your follow-up on how you follow up with these people. That makes a difference.
It does. It makes a huge difference. And the KPI, I'm big on the drip campaign, number one, and I'm big on the KPI because the KPI lets me know how hard I worked. If I didn't do enough calls, if enough SMS didn't go out, I'm like, okay, I just recently started doing this, Rod. I set a goal. Okay, I have to do, say, 50 calls, and I'll check my KPI to see where I'm at. Or even having a virtual assistant come on board, I get to see, as a manager, I get to see like, okay, like what did, so-and-so do today? I can just check the KPI report. The KPI is not going to lie to me. So
exactly. That is so true what you say. People lie. People make up stories, but numbers never lie. Numbers are going to tell you what is actually happening in the business. For us, when we're doing calls with like, my marketing sales manager, like he runs our daily huddle call with the team. Like, it's like, let's set a goal that we can actually quantify. If you say, hey, I want to have a better conversation with that seller, that's not something we can control, right? I mean, honestly, we cannot control how many properties we get under contract. We can control the effort that we put in towards getting those properties under contract. So for us in our team, like our measurable is how many calls did I make? How many text messages did I send out? And then that's the stuff that we can control. And if you have an appointment, then what we control is, we can control like how many people would want to meet with us. I mean, of course, we can get better, with our sales technique, but we can't force somebody to meet with us. But once we meet with them, what we can control is make them an offer. Like that's the stuff we can control. So that's where, like for us, when we're doing our marketing, like, like if we're doing, again, different marketing, let's say I'm going to direct mail, I can see how many leads did I get from my probate list. How many appointments did I go on? How many offers did I make? And then it has all the conversion KPIs. Like how many leads do I need to go on an appointment? How many appointments, for example, do I need to make an offer? How many offers do I need before I make it? So that's the stuff we look at. And that's where we keep tweaking, our business a little bit and see, hey, what marketing is really working for me? And then you can review it based on the quarter, based on like 6 months, a year, and then just keep tweaking that, especially like as we, at the end of the year, beginning of the year, that's like a good time to kind of just look at your business, reflect on what worked really well, what did not, and the stuff that worked well, how can you make it even better? So like when you're tracking your, ROI, so like every dollar that you're spending, how can you get, instead of spending, $1 and getting 4x back, how can you get 4.5 or 5x back? That starts making a big difference. If you're spending, like say, $50,000 on marketing, right? You're doing consistent marketing and across all the channels, you're spending $50,000. Now, 50,000 times 4 is 200,000. But if you somehow get, better with your marketing, you increase that by 1 additional point. Now you're talking about, instead of $200,000 in revenue, getting $250,000. So that's like makes a big difference in by being more efficient with your marketing.
This is pretty. I mean, I've learned something new, and again, thank you for your time today. I definitely learned something new with the SMS tab that you showed me, with the green notification coming on and checking, checking some people on that SMS. I have some other leads I'm probably going to text right after this. I'm just going to upload into the SMS and inquire about those properties. It's just, I really love the software, and this is why I wanted to do this call, and this is why I wanted to show everyone, like, hey, yeah, this is saving me a lot of time, and it could definitely help, a lot of investors, because a lot of investors spend a lot on marketing. Marketing is very, very cost efficient.
when you look at it, we're essentially in a marketing business, right? Once we stop doing marketing, our business just stops. It's not like 2010 through 2015, 16, where you could just pick houses from MLS. It's a different market that we're in right now. Like, this is essentially marketing business. Like, you have to be really efficient with your marketing, stay in front of those sellers, tell them like, hey, you're in the market to buy a house, and then again, be more efficient with your marketing. The goal is not to, have, you want to have a high top line revenue number, but at the end of the day, the goal is that you have the highest net profit possible in your business. So it's not that, you have $100,000 in revenue, but then you walk away with $10,000 at the end of all the expense. The goal is like, I would rather have $90,000 in revenue and walk away with $50,000 in net profit. It's like, it's the money that I'm walking away with, not like, hey, what is the top line number? How much revenue did I have? It's like, what's the net profit? What's the money that went into my pocket? And that's where like we focus on it being more efficient in our, like, it's like everything from our marketing to our rehabs also. Like, for a rehab, our goal is from the time we buy a property to the time it goes in the market, it has to be 90 days or less. Like, that just, it cannot go beyond 90 days. Like, that's what we work on. Like, time is money. We borrow money for our flips, so we want to make sure like every day the house that we sit on, it's not selling, it's costing us $100 between interest that we pay, between our opportunity cost, taxes, insurance, utilities, and all these things. It's costing $100 a day on average. So if we delay a project by a month, that's like more than 10% of our net profit for a deal, and then that's unacceptable. So that's why we want to be super efficient with our, like, with the marketing, with the rehabs, with everything in our business. And like, the only way to do that is by tracking your numbers.
It's phenomenal. I again,
right.
I am, when I first did my first orientation, the orientation was one thing, but when you get involved and you're signed
right.
up with Resimpli, and you just start to see your productivity just improve
right.
by a long shot, it's just really
right.
eye-opening. And I've learned, for me personally, with all the real estate investors that I know, it's really all about marketing. It's all about marketing, and it's all about knowing your market, right? So
right.
I told this one investor I spoke with earlier, this guy's like, yeah, I have $2 million in liquid, whatever you got in Dutchess County, let me know. Sure, no problem, right? So import them in and market to these properties, and consistently follow up with the drip campaign. I just found that to work. But it's the marketing. It's knowing the numbers. It's knowing your market, but also reaching out, like you said, direct mail, SMS, ringless voicemail.
right.
I love. I don't know if you showed this. I think you did. But another thing I like about Resimpli that I don't mention enough is the work. It has the work hours. You could set your own work hours on it if you go into the tab. I think Danielle showed me this. Yeah, you could set up different call hours. So if someone, I'm a big family guy. So if someone calls me at 9 o'clock, I know, hey, I'm not getting no incoming calls at 9 o'clock. I set my schedule to a certain time. So you're automatically going to get our business voicemail.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do, like, let's say all weekdays between 9 a.m. to, let's say like 6 p.m. You can have your call go to, whatever, like your cell phone, or, your call porter, whatever, your acquisition person. Then after that, you can have, like, this would be outside of your business hours. Then you can just say, hey, I want all the calls to go straight to voicemail. I want people to leave me a message, then I'll get back to them. Or you can have an after hours answering service. So this would, like, you can set up sort of like your business hours for each of the phone numbers that you have. But you could also have, like, if it's your probate list, right? A list that you want to make sure, hey, this is a very, very high performing list for me. So I want to make sure when somebody calls on this number, no matter what time it is, it comes to me. So you can set that up also. So every different numbers, you can have sort of like different business hours, right? So that's important. Like, that's why one of the important things is when you're doing different marketing, texting, calling, RBM, direct mail, PPC, it's very, very, very important to use different phone numbers. Even within direct mail, if you're mailing to like 2 different lists, it's very important to use 2 different phone numbers, because otherwise the money's in the data, right? I mean, let's say if you're mailing, you have a probate list and you have absentee list, and both have 1,000 people. Let's say you use the same phone number, you send 2,000 letters. And let's say you get 10 calls, 2 appointments, and 1 deal. How do you know which list you got the calls from, which list you got the appointments from, which list actually got the deal from. You know, if you're using different phone numbers, you would know right away, like, hey, I got my 10 calls. Out of 10 calls, I got 8 calls from probate, but I got only 2 calls from absentee, and both of those 2 calls converted into appointments, and I got 1 deal out of it. And then you can like try it out for like 2-3 mailings, and you'll have so much data about your business where you can go in and say, hey, you know what? Like, I'm mailing to probate list and absentee. Generally, people say probate list is a very hot list to market to, but it's not really working in my market. And this is the data that I have that I can speak to, that I can say, hey, I've tried it. I've sent 3,000 mailers. I've got these many leads, and none of those are converting. It could be as simple like, I mean, you sort of need like a different closing, you know, technique with probate leads versus an absentee, like an investor that you're dealing with. So you might be really good at dealing with like those absentee leads, but you will only know if you're using like as simple as using 2 different phone numbers to track that. And once you start doing that, you'll have so much data. Now imagine if you know, hey, I'm really, really good at closing with these absentee leads. I mean, imagine like instead of sending 2,000 mailers every month or every other, you're only sending 1,000 now. Like you're not even dealing with those 8 leads you were getting. You're just so hyper focused on that one marketing campaign that instead of like your 1 to 5x revenue, now you can just hyper focus on that. You can make it 1 to 7x. Like you'll be absolutely best at closing with your absentee. And then probate, you know, as you scale your business, maybe you can bring somebody in that's really good at closing those probate leads. But you have the data to back that up, like just to make those decisions that are going to make a huge difference in your business.
Oh, it's huge, man. Oh my gosh.
Right.
You know, I'm thank you for your time to show us a lot more behind the scenes of Resimpli. You know, but before I let you go, it's only right that I need my affiliate link or code.
Absolutely.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, so like whenever you post that, you know, we'll give you the link, and then anybody who signs up through that will get 10% off the first month to sign up, and then like discount on additional. We roll out, like we have our own driving for dollar feature built within Resimpli. So now you don't need a separate app. Like you can just download your Resimpli app, and there's an option for driving for dollar. And then for anybody who signs up, like we'll give a discount on that and a couple of other cool features that we'll throw in. So we'll get that set up, and then you can have people like use that affiliate link to sign up.
Awesome. Thank you again for your time.
Right. No, man, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about real estate. I mean, I'm a real estate investor first, and then like Resimpli started out as a personal need for my business, and then it's kind of, you know, grew into what it is now. But yeah, I mean, I love talking about real estate, man. It's like, it's the stuff that gets me so excited every day.
Yeah. And you know what? Resimpli definitely makes it more exciting. It definitely does. I can tell you that. It makes it exciting.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Sharad, thank you again for your time.
What's going on, guys? It's your guy, Husslehav. I'm here with Burton from PropStream.